Hey guys, Jessica here. So today we're going to talk about the Hygeia Express. So the Hygeia Express is this little motor right here. I actually find it to be very, very lightweight. It's very cute. It looks like a little like honey eye chunk. This is extra gold. So I really do like this motor. It's a cute little motor. Looks very nice sitting on a desk. It is portable enough. You could put this in a fanny pack. You would need one of the bigger fanny packs, but it is portable enough. It is an alternating suction pump. So it pulls left, right, left, right. It is not like a consistent suction where it is pull release on both sides at the same time. So that does mean that this pump may not be for everyone right out of the bat. But overall, it is pretty cute. It comes with these cups, and I have some mixed feelings on these cups. I like these cups. I like where they're going with the design, but I think they got 80% of the way there, and then they made one particular design choice that I think is limiting these cups. And if that design choice was corrected, I think these cups have a lot of potential. But let's talk about who Hygeia markets to, because that's important to know as we're discussing this. So Hygeia is not really focused anymore on direct to consumer marketing. So lots of pump companies market direct to consumer. They're trying to get you to pay not only out of pocket, but they're trying to get you to select their pump through insurance covered options. Hygeia is really focused on the insurance covered options and appears more on our Medicaid contracts and the WIC contracts. So this is a less expensive pump. It is not a bad pump, but this is not a pump where they are trying to convince you as a consumer to give them directly your hard-earned money. Whereas like Spectra still markets to parents. I'm just looking at the pumps behind me. Medela only markets certain models towards parents. This one is one that's not really marketed directly towards parents. It is really popular though because there's a couple states that have picked it up on WIC contracts. And the fact that it is a portable motor, it is, battery operated, and it comes with cups has been highly desirable considering a lot of those moms are previously locked into less desirable pumps like the Medela Max Flow, which is not battery operated. It's not very portable, even though it's small, and it was limiting moms. So one of the things I loved about this pump, let me go ahead and turn it on. It's so quiet. I'm going to hold this up to the mic. It's actually really, really quiet. This pump reminds me a lot of the original Zomi Z2, except a little bit slower, which I think will be a good thing. I think with alternating suction going too fast, like the original Zomi Z2 did, I don't think that's a great idea. I think that causes a lot of nipples to be numb and we get less desirable output because we get like one good letdown and then we're not able to get subsequent letdowns. With this, we are a little bit slower. So this one topped out at about 158 cycles per minute and went down to the high 60s on stimulation. It did have a nice wide range on stimulation, so from 50 to 165 mmHg, which means stimulation mode on this pump is going to cover most people. Expression mode, we did get over 250 double pumping, even with the cups. It was a little bit of a challenge getting the suction to read on these cups, and we'll talk about why with the design choices. But we have a wide range of suction. Now, what I did notice is that in most programming, there's kind of a sequential order. As suction increases, cycle speed decreases, so almost like a stair step effect. With this pump, though, what we saw is that once we got above 100 mmHg, the cycle speeds dropped dramatically. That tends to indicate that this is a slightly lower quality motor because when a motor is trying to run high suction, high speed at the same time, if it is not a high quality motor that is really durable, the pump often fails to be able to perform like that. So I think that's kind of what we're seeing is that this is an individual use pump. It is likely intended for being used a couple times a day, a couple days a week. This is a pump for somebody likely aimed at going back to work. This is likely not going to be a sufficient pump for an exclusive pumper that's going to last for a year to 2 years. I would expect we're probably looking at a motor life of 300 to 400 hours, which puts it in line with the Lansino smart pumps. It's not that that is a bad range. It's just that that is not going to be the most durable. And that is definitely something to consider with this. If you have options, this one may not be the most durable of your options. I would still take this over a Medela Max Flow any day. So that alternating suction, that could be an issue for some people, but the cycle speeds are really good on this pump. I do think that that is going to make it functional use for a lot of people. And what I really liked is that the pull was really gentle. So some pumps have a very strong, aggressive pull. It makes them very prone to nipple pain, nipple damage. This was actually really, really comfortable. Now, the challenge with that is that this suction pattern is so smooth And it actually reminded me of kind of like a hybrid. It almost feels like the programming is similar to the Ardo Alyssa, where they're using a regular traditional motor and using it to mimic what we see with that smooth controlled release of a piston pump. The piston pump is like the medulla that's back here. That is an actual mechanical device that is creating the suction. So it pulls out and then collapses in, and it's that collapse in where the suction is still controlled. This feels like it was programmed for that smooth release, which I do really like. However, what that means is that you were able to use this with a wider range of flanges without feeling the discomfort that we would be looking for. So I think we're going to have a lot more moms who start out with the Hygeia Express, don't have their flange sizing optimized, don't feel the immediate consequences of that, and then are really confused if they see a milk drop. So if you're going to use the Hygeia Express, I highly recommend, we'll link down below the flange sizing references, but you're going to want to make sure that your flanges are sized properly. And particularly if you're using these cups, you're going to want to really make sure flanges are sized correctly, bra fit is optimized, because this smooth motor is not going to give you a heads up that something is wrong. And I typically see with pumps like this, we see a really good response, and then it just kind of drops off. And that can be really confusing for moms, and it can also be very time intensive, money intensive, labor intensive to fix. We don't want that for you. So we want to make sure that we are staying on top of all of that. But let's talk about these cups. So these cups are sold by Hygeia. There is a version that is yellow on Amazon sold by Pump Mom. They are exactly identical. There were two things that I noted with these cups that are particularly relevant to this discussion. These cups are compatible with most pumps. I paired them with the Spectra, I paired them with the Baby Buddha, I paired them with the Genie Advance, paired them with the Ardo Alyssa. These are average cups. There's nothing super special about them. They are like the hard plastic flange version of the Idaho Jones cups. So they're pretty generic in terms of performance. They're very universally compatible. Didn't see a lot of issues there. Did see issues with the silicone that's in use. It really needed to be boiled, and it needed to be boiled for a solid 5 minutes in order to set it. And the way that we discovered this is that the pump was not getting more than 150 mmHg of suction, which is entirely too low for a pump that was being marketed the way they were. And Hygeia does not have a history of misleading marketing in my experience. So when the pump was failing to perform, I didn't automatically assume it was the pump. I started looking at the parts. We had boiled them, but they were flash boiled. So they were boiled for about 60 seconds, which used to be very, very effective. What I'm seeing with newer pumps and newer pump parts is that they really need to be boiled for longer. Where that's a challenge is that moms do not want to stand there and boil their parts. And if they do boil their parts, the longer you're boiling them, the more at risk you are of letting them sit on the sides of the pot. They're getting too hot, they're actually melting, they're warping, they're getting damaged. But both the silicone backflow protector or diaphragm, which is that disc-shaped membrane at the top, and the duckbill did need to be boiled for a solid 5 minutes in order to establish suction. Once suction was established, the cups worked pretty well. Biggest challenge with this is that this is a hard plastic flange. So this part is hard plastic, and this is just an embedded plastic ring. It is part of the flange. It is not removable. So this is both acting to help seal this cup together, which means it's not the easiest cup to get together. It does often feel like you're having to put excessive amounts of pressure. I would expect that these cups will need to be replaced, both the hard plastic and the silicone parts. I would think they'll need to be replaced every 4 to 6 months, mostly because of the way that these two kind of clip in together. It's going to make it very easy to warp these over time just from wear and tear, because this is a high pressure seal. It does require a lot of force to get it to sit in there, and that's not a design flaw, that's just a design choice. This embedded silicone, if you are doing fine with traditional inserts, is not a problem. Let me grab a traditional insert real quick. So traditional inserts are just the little silicone tubies that sit down in here. Now, the challenges of this is going to be that this is not a 24 millimeter flange, and inserts are designed for the vast majority of them to fit a 24 millimeter flange. We do have cups that have 28 millimeter flanges. We have like the NCBI cups, the Motif cups. They came with their own inserts. The Hygeia inserts did not perform. There was a set of inserts in the box with it, but it did not perform. So this does not fit. See how that's really, really loose in that tunnel? That's because this is meant for a 24. So we're kind of locked into legendary inserts are going to be the most common that are going to fit people. Now, with really good bra support, this actually fits really well. But if you're somebody who has trouble with the bras, if you're somebody who has a breast shape that makes it harder for the bras to hold, this could be a problem because this is not sealed in here. There is a gap between the legendary insert. You can actually see I can move it up and down. There is a gap in there that I can't account for. So my air seal has to be right here, but that air seal is compromised by the silicone band. So these are going to be hit or miss cups. They're either going to work really, really well for you or they're not. I think they're going to be slightly more universally compatible than what we saw with like the motif cups. But the shape is not going to be as good as the motif cups because it's this 90-degree triangular shape, which we know is not the optimal shape anymore. We know from the latest research from Medela, we need that 105 to 120-degree angle in order to get better milk flow. So we're going to have a little bit of restriction here. We have that overly large flange, which is going to be a problem for inserts. So these are going to be another one where if you get lucky and they work for you, great. You may really like them. And if you find a traditional insert that's compatible with the 27, 28s and it fits you right, great. But it is a little bit of a shorter tunnel. So the couple brands of inserts that I tried did seem to compromise suction a little bit. If you have extremely elastic tissue, that could be really problematic because even the inserts meant for the bigger flanges didn't sit quite right in here. I think because it's at 90-degree angle and most of them have actually been designed to have more flex in it to allow for that seal with a slightly wider angle that we're seeing being more common. So all in all, this is not a bad pump. It's not one that I would necessarily recommend anybody go out and buy. If you want the alternating suction pump, I'm still going to recommend the Zomi Z2. That is a pump that is still marketed direct to consumers, and it is one where I do see good results with it, especially the updated Zomi Z2. So if you are wanting that alternating suction, the Hygeia Express is not how I would achieve it. I would still put the Hygeia Express in the category of this is going to be most appropriate for moms who are getting it either through a WIC contract, a Medicaid contract. We've got limited options, and this may quickly be one of the best of the available options. It's not a bad pump. It's just not one where at this price point, I feel like you can do better spending your money elsewhere. I think the cups are a little hit or miss. I do like that they're including that because I think there are a lot of consumers who want that. And I don't think that just because flanges are more effective, we can still pair flanges with this. If you're trying to pair flanges with this, you're going to want to use a Spectra style backflow. Hygeia does have their own set of flanges, but the backflow is virtually identical to a Spectra backflow. I didn't detect any differences in that. So other than checking to make sure that using other parts doesn't void your warranty, I don't know where Hygeia stands on that. I think most companies are actually getting away from those type of restrictions, but you would want to check with them. And the pump did perform well when paired with other cups. So I paired it with the legendary cups. I paired it with Spectra cups. I paired it with the Baby Buddha cups, the Zomi cups, and it seemed to perform just fine. I don't think this is going to be a pump that has super limited use. I think there's just a limited market for this pump, and it's not one at this particular price point. They would have to knock off about $100 for me to say that this is a pump that I feel like moms should consider purchasing out of pocket because for the out of pocket cost, this is overpriced for what you're getting. You can get the same technology, the same options elsewhere for a better value. But for moms who are getting a pump through WIC or Medicaid, where we have limited options, this could be a really good one to consider. So it's not a yes or a no to this pump. It's a lot of, there's nuanced answers on this pump, but I think we're going to see more of those nuanced pump answers be a thing this year because we're seeing a lot of companies target these Medicaid and WIC contracts. And that does change the technology and the price point that we're talking about. So hopefully that answers your questions. If you're looking at the Hygeia cups, I don't know that I would buy them out of pocket. Again, if you have them, we could definitely try and work with them. And if you fall in love with them, great. There's nothing inherently wrong with them, but there are a little bit high risk. So not something I would necessarily recommend even buying the Pump Mom version out of pocket because it just simply isn't a strong enough performer that's going to be successful for so many people to kind of get that recommendation. When we recommend a product, we're really looking for, is it going to work for a wide variety of moms? And in this one, I think it's kind of a niche use. So hopefully that helps. And if you have any questions, please let me know down below and happy pumping.